So our first senior, and the kids submit to me where they're going to college and some information about their college, so I'm going to start with that first. And our first senior is Adam Burton. He's going to Missouri S&T and majoring in computer science. And his scholarships that he's received to this point is $7,000 for a groundbreaker package, Bright Flight for $2,400, an honors college scholarship, and an Elk Club Student of the Year for $1,000. So you guys can applaud if you'd like, for sure. And this award that Adam's going to get, it's probably the oldest band award that's out there, and that dates back quite a ways to the early 1900s. And I think it's very fitting of Adam. Now, Adam would probably fit in multiple categories for awards, but I thought this award especially was fitting for him. Adam is an outstanding bassoon player, composes music. You guys have probably heard some of his stuff that he's composed. You've heard him compose stuff for the marching band. He's been playing piano in the pit. He's recorded composed countless other things. He's in jazz band, an incredible jazz player, just incredible musician, and he always, the most significant thing about him, he always surprises me by his musical instinct. And he's always very giving of everybody, very helpful, very nurturing of the young people that come along. And if you don't know Adam, he's just an incredible all-around great student. So receiving the John Philip Sousa Award is Adam Burton. And our next student is Quentin Cook. Now, the jazz band recorded our concert. They recorded our concert in the band room the other day, and I emailed it out. Hopefully, if you guys get a chance to either watch some of it or the whole thing, I think it's around an hour long, and the kids just had a great fun doing it. I had fun watching and listening. It was just an amazing thing. So, Quentin Cook being our next senior, and he's taking a gap year. And I know whatever Quentin decides to do and ends up doing after his year, that he's going to do amazing things. And when I watch that video, and you guys after doing this and meeting him, if you didn't know him, just watch the energy and the enthusiasm that he has on that video recording our concert in the band room. Just fun. And seeing that his senior year, it's been that way since he's been in jazz band several years. Also in concert band. And in fact, he played a little trick on me today, because through his career in band, he was always end up playing too loud. And then I always end up fussing at him. So in band, was it today? In band today, he played too loud on purpose, just for me, so that I could turn and we both smiled at each other. But it's always fun. He's an incredible student, incredible kid. And when you hear him in those videos playing in jazz band, he's had very little jazz training, and it's just from using his ear, using his instinct, his creativity, and his energy. And it's just been an honor to have had him in jazz band and watch him play through his years. And it's not to dismiss his concert band work, which has been amazing. And he's been in a section of trombone players, of really good trombone players. We've been able to do some really difficult music pre-COVID. And we're going to return to that status, hopefully. But I think knowing Quentin, the energy and the way that he plays, this next award being the Woody Herman Jazz Award is very fitting for Quentin Cook. And the next student, Marissa Dorr, and she is going to Mizzou, and she's majoring in veterinary sciences. And Marissa comes from a family of musicians. Her older brother was in band and was drum captain, was an incredible student, a strong leader, a wonderful person, and enjoyed him. And then when she came into band, she followed suit as well. And I always love giving her trouble, because her last name is Dorr. So therefore, you can think of, don't run into the door. You can think of, you make a better door than a window. So I would always come up with really bad jokes for her, and she loved it because I could tell she would always end up writing them down to save them for future. But all things aside, when you see her in her business, in her element, either on the marching band field as color guard captain, seeing her playing flute, in whatever capacity you see her with a high level of intensity and a high level of seriousness. She's been a great flute player in the section, a hard worker. She's an athlete. She's done swimming and track too, I think. Did you do track? She does swimming and track, and just is the example of just loving high school and doing everything and taking advantage of everything that you can. And I think the thing that's really amazing that has stood out for her, for me in my mind, is when she joined color guard, because I didn't see that one coming. And I was glad that she did, because she eventually became co-captain of the color guard, did a great job with the color guard, always working them hard, always positive, and they did some incredible things over the last several years that she's been captain. And I think definitely fitting, Marissa Dorr receives the Most Valuable Player Award, color guard captain. Go Mr. Kramer. Oh, you shake my, okay. Ah, you're cold. Woo. So this next young lady, there's always one in band, maybe two, maybe three, but there's always one, at least, in band that is a long-term project for me. And Kate Faulkner has been that project. Now, I'm going to talk about her in a second because I don't want to leave out the good stuff. But she is, next year, she's going to Mizzou, and she's studying. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm on the wrong line, sorry. Kate Faulkner is going to SIU Carbondale. She's studying zoology, and she's gotten a $7,500 University Excellence Scholarship. And if you guys have seen, at the band banquet, we had her perform some of her dog tricks. I mean, not she didn't perform, but her dog did, with her dog. And I think he was a little shy on that day. He was a little camera shy, wasn't he? But he eventually stepped up. So her getting a dog over quarantine and spending her time training the dog, you should see it. The dog can do amazing things. I saw a video of it, and I was in love with it right from the start. So, and that's fitting that she wants to study zoology. So, getting back to the good stuff on Kate, she's been that student that has been a long-term project for me. And there's always a student in band who is always very quiet and almost like they're scared of me. And Kate Faulkner has been that student. So what happened is I would kind of pick out that student, and I would become overexcited whenever I would see the student. And I could tell she hated it. Now, as the years went on, she actually would play along. And then the thing that I discovered is that she's quite sassy. Because all my jokes were not one-sided. Now she would come in and complete my jokes and give it back to me. And that's been a fun interaction. But she has been one of those students that has come out of her shell, and the sassiness comes out, the fun comes out. She's worked hard in marching band, worked hard in concert band, and I remember it was the cutest thing, because she had emailed my wife that she wanted to buy a piccolo, and she was saving her money. She had a little job. Where do you work again? That's it, Biscotti's, and she was saving her money because she wanted to buy a piccolo, and I just thought that was just the cutest, amazing thing. And then she's played that in band and does an amazing job with that. She's that kind of kid that will go above and beyond, that will work 4 times as hard as what you need, and do anything that you ask of them. Not only being the hard worker, being the great musician, she's caring, she's giving of the group. She was working with the concert uniforms and marching uniforms throughout her time here, and I can't say enough good things about her. Mr. Kennison created this award several years ago, and I think this award is fitting for her. So this is A square plus B square equals excellence. So the way that equates is above and, there's the A square, beyond band, there's the B square, equals excellence. So receiving the A square plus B square award is Kate Faulkner. kids did one of two things, and I'm just going to be really honest about this. During quarantine, during COVID, they either thrived or they didn't. And there was very little in between. And for those kids that thrived and excelled, I could always tell because they would be the ones with their camera on in our meets. And I think Alex Herbig is one of those kids that exemplifies that. So I'm going to talk about him here in a second. Alex is going to Missouri State, and he is studying music education next year. And he is one of those students that I think thrived during quarantine. He was working 2 jobs, always had his camera on. He was always and his camera would be on, and he'd be in the background practicing multiple instruments. And we had him playing some instruments in concert band. He's moved around, played some stuff in marching band. When I think back of him when he was a freshman coming in, and I'm just going to spill the beans on you here, Alex, he was a horrible marcher. It was very bad. He had very little coordination. He basically had 2 left feet, and we were like, okay, we need to do something with him because we didn't feel like it was going to get there. So we ended up moving him into the pit. And he actually, like he did during quarantine, I think he's one of those people that anything that he does, he's going to excel at. And it got to a point where he felt like he was marching better, and he marched tonight and was doing fine. And I think we talked to him and said, hey, do you want to move back to the trumpet section? He said, no, I'm going to stay in the pit. And so I think that exemplifies him. Just giving, being willing to contribute in whatever fashion we ask of him, just being able to do everything that he can to make the group better. He's also on that jazz band recording, so please, if you get a chance to watch that and check that out, it's great fun, and the guys were just had a blast doing it. And you know, the fact that he can come in and thrive in any environment, he's going to do well in college, and even as a music major. So I'm assuming you want to be a band director, right? And you're going to be rich, so. I'm just kidding. So, and this next award is probably not an award that you guys are familiar with, but he actually predates John Philip Sousa. And he was probably the equivalent to John Philip Sousa a few years earlier than John Philip Sousa, but it's the Patrick S. Gilmore Band Award. So the Gilmore Band was one of the best bands in the world, right up there with Sousa. So receiving the Gilmore Band Award is Alex Herbig. And this next young man, I was watching an old video from Tantera the other day. I think it's when you were a freshman, when your brother was a senior, right? And it made my heart melt a little bit because his older brother was in band and was a senior his freshman year. So this is Michael Kalbeck, and I'm going to talk about him here in a second. So I've got some good stuff on him. He is going to the University of Missouri at Columbia and going to study major in business administration. And he's received the Brett Rose Memorial Scholarship and the Fathers Club Scholarship. And if you look at those videos back from Tantera that are up there on the internet somewhere, you'll see his brother, who's first-year trumpet player, and he's older, obviously, taller. And then you look at Michael, and I think because you were like short or shorter than your brother, and it was just a great fun because it was like the big brother, little brother, and the big brother helped the little brother, and then now it got to that point where the big brother was gone, and he was in there carrying the section. And now when I look at him, I mean, I see just the epitome of confidence, the person being a hard worker, being dependable. He's in a section of really strong, dedicated French horn players, and you know, to be honest, we picked music that would highlight the French horn section. You guys can go back and think of it. And I knew that because I had people like him in the section that would help carry the load. And whatever we needed done, I knew they would do. And I think Michael exemplifies that. He's one of those guys that'll get in there and take charge and not be afraid to be that lone wolf telling people what they need to do and what they need to do what's right. So I definitely think fitting for Michael Callback receiving the dedication award. So there's a group of Clarinet Seniors tonight, and I'll kind of talk about each one as I get there. But I started this senior class, I started them when they were in 6th grade on clarinet. So I would go to Berkeley in the mornings and work with the beginner clarinets. And Mackenzie Kelly was one of those clarinets. And she is going to University of Missouri next year, Mizzou or Mizzou. She's going to Mizzou next year, and she's undecided on her music major, but she's already started her scholarship venture. She's got a curator scholarship to use next year. So Mackenzie was in that 6th grade beginning clarinet class, and it was a really extremely fun class to teach. I just loved working with that group. They were excited. They were great players. They were always happy, and it was just a joy. And I had that group pegged, hoping I got the core of them coming to high school. And when Mackenzie ended up coming to high school and several others from that class, I was extremely excited because I knew as they would come through high school, I would pick music especially for them. So some of the music, if you look back, that we've played through the last several years are because I knew I had certain people in the clarinet section that could handle certain parts. And Mackenzie was one of those people. She's somebody who's willing to take on the challenge, willing to be dedicated, has performed at Solo Ensemble the last several years. They did a great job, and I think it was like the weekend before we got COVID, right? Or before COVID shut us down. And they all came in, and she didn't sound very good, so I grabbed her clarinet and I played on her clarinet to move her reed around, which I didn't really think of COVID at the time. I just wanted her to sound better. And they actually ended up sounding great, getting to 1, and then we were shut down. So we never got to go to state and do all that. But and then my thoughts were like, okay, I've got Kelly next year. I got Mackenzie. We can go into next year. And then this year it ended up not being what we expected. But I think when you look at the people that you have and the positive outlook that you have in those people around you and the impact that they make on other people, it's really special. And she is one of those people. And I'm excited for her for next year. And I'm excited for the things that she's done here in her work at Mehlville. And receiving the Director's Award for Musical Excellence is Mackenzie Kelly. And this next young man, Tyler Kilper, when he came in as a freshman, and I'm going to talk about him here in a second, but when he came in as a freshman, we were at a particular spot where we needed to make some changes. And Tyler Kilper was one of those people that raised his hand. That, or we made you raise your hand. I don't remember exactly, but he raised his hand. So I'm going to talk about him, where he's going to school, and I'm going to share some more information about him. So Tyler Kilper is going to Missouri S&T, studying computer engineering. He's received a groundbreaker package, which is $6,500, and he's received the Honors Academy Scholarship for $1,000. Now, when Kilper came into band as a freshman, he was a pretty quiet freshman. There was no issues with him, unassuming, but we had like an overabundance of trumpet players, somewhere around 16 or 17, and we had 2 or 3 French horn players. So you guys do the math. If you had a football team and you had, 2 linemen and you had 15 quarterbacks, guess what's happening? Some of those quarterbacks are going to have to move to linemen. So I don't think we had to draw any short straws. I think Kilper just kind of raised his hand and said, I'll move to French horn. And I think at the time, because I didn't really process it, but at the time, I think that was really kind of typical of how he is. And he's one of those people that will come in and just take charge and do what needs to be done without a selfish mentality and do it because it's what's needed. And I really feel like that's one of the reasons why he's thrived. not only here in band, but also as a student in school. He's raising that hand that year was actually a really pivotal thing. Him moving to French horn, eventually ended up becoming first chair. Like I said, he was in a section with Callback and some others that really gave us a strong foundation. And he surprised me because he never told me he was going to do this, but he auditioned for Madison Scouts Drum and Bugle Corps and made it. And his summer that he was going to march corps was the summer of COVID, and then that got canceled. And it was unfortunate because I was really excited. We have never had a student at Mehlville High School get selected for a drum and bugle corps and then actually follow through and do it. So he was going to be our first student to actually go through that season. And I was really excited about it, him having that experience and coming back and sharing with us because I knew he would. But as Tyler, as his total mentality is, he did not lose his spirit, didn't lose his enthusiasm over losing his core opportunity, and as well through this process of COVID, he's been really resilient and really positive. And I feel like in lieu of everything, he's had a very positive senior year and a positive career. This next award is a very old award, and it's actually in conjunction with the Marine Corps, which their motto being always faithful. But it's for that student who is a soloist student who is willing to get up front and really to step out there and try things. And it's the Semper Fidelis Award for Tyler Kilper. The thing about this senior class, and I'm just going to say this, I know it's probably not going to make people happy, but this was an opportunity lost for me with the senior class because there was just a lot of talent in this senior class. And I had so many things I wanted to do. I had so many dreams, so many things, and none of that got to materialize. And actually, what materialized was still, in the end, very positive for me because in our meets, we had the opportunity to totally engage. So in essence, I've got to know the kids a lot better, where under normal circumstance, we're running all over the place, I'm yelling at them, and we're doing this and that. But it actually became a really powerful thing for me. And, it's very difficult for me because I feel very close to some of them. And Josh McClure is one of those students. He was always in our meet. When we'd let him go, he would always stay there longer and always just ready to go. So next year, Josh is going to St. Louis Community College, and he's studying animal biology. Now, I talked about this class having a lot of talent and a lot of students that are very talented, and I think Josh fits that category. He's one of those guys that will do whatever needs to be done. He's played bass drum in marching band. He's done mallets in jazz band and honor band. Has done some piano in jazz band. And always willing to move around to another instrument. And the drum line that we had last year that we were anticipating, we were extremely excited about, and that never got to materialize the same way we'd hoped. And Josh was part of that. He's one of those motivated students, always willing to work hard, always willing to go and beyond. And he's made a positive impact on the band and a positive impact on the whole program. Now, this award, Mr. Kennison, who was my high school band director, and I was his assistant for 14 years, created this award. And if you know him, this totally is Mr. Kennison. But he created this award, and it's titled TCBY, which stands for Taking Care of Business Yesterday. And I think that exemplifies Josh McClure to the T. So receiving the Taking Care of Business Yesterday award is Josh McClure. Okay, so this next young man, we had a conversation in the band room before we came down, and I totally lied to him, so I'm going to tell you what that means here in a second. But Jack Marcel is going to St. Louis Community College at Merrimack next year, and he's studying digital video, and media production. And what I had lied to about Jack is that I would not talk about the fact that when we took the band to Disney his freshman year, he rode Space Mountain, and he's got his Space Mountain shirt. He rode Space Mountain for 3 days straight, and I think was it 30 times? He rode Space Mountain 25 times in 3 days. So yes, Jack, I lied. I was going to talk about it. And now I'm going to tell the truth about something else. So don't get angry at this, Jack, but this is the truth. When you were a 6th grader, you were really annoying. Extremely annoying. It's one of those where you're like, oh my gosh. Now, but what was fun about him is that he just had all of this energy. So it was very, very difficult trying to harness and trying to focus all of that energy that he had. And I don't know if I did a good job with it as he was a 6th grader, but as he went through middle school, as he went on and came through high school, that energy and developed, and that energy focused and became very, very positive coming into high school. And, you know, I look at Jack, and he's one of those people that, you know, you're going to miss, because he always adds a little bit of that something special. And we always have had this weird interaction the last several years, because he has season passes at Six Flags, and you have maxed out what is the game? The Justice League Battle for Metropolis. How many times have you maxed it?
Over 300. I don't know the exact count. I think it's like 340.
He's 340 times he's maxed the game, and so he's going to go home and double check it. So, and I think, you know, and I think when you look at that, and that's kind of Jack. I mean, when he gets hyper-focused on something, he's going to do it and do it all the way. And that's what I'm so proud, is that energy as a 6th grader that annoyed me as it became focused coming to high school and became very productive and a strong contributor and really quite an iconic figure in the band. And I saw you on the school media the other day, and that made me smile too. So I think this fitting that Jack receiving the Most Improved Award goes to Jack Marcel. You're cold. Woo. And this next young lady, you have seen her with the marching band. You've seen her playing solos with concert band on the oboe. And now you're going to see her tonight. But this is Angelina OBrien. And she is going to WashU next year. And she's on a biology pre-med track. Now, she has a handful of scholarships. No, I'm just kidding. She has a lot of scholarships. So I'm going to do these the best that I can here. So she has the Washington University Scholarship, which is $30,000 annually. She has the Bright Flight Scholarship, which is $2,400 annually. The National Merit Scholarship, which is $2,000 annually. She has the College Club of St. Louis Scholarship, which is $1,000. She has the Masonic Merit Scholarship, which is $1,000. And she has the Southwest Area Chamber of Commerce Mercy Hospital Scholarship, which is $1,500. And she has the MHS class of 1986 scholarship, which is $2,000. So congratulations for that, for sure. Now, you guys, it's probably no secret I'm married to one of the band directors. Or wait, and I put it that way because she is the real person in charge of the band program. So Miss Brown is the band director at Washington Middle, if you guys don't know, and I'm married to her. And she always keeps me posted on students that come through the band program. And she came to me when Angelina was a 6th grader and said, "Ooh, you're gonna like this girl." A little oboe player. She was really quiet, really awkward. And she said, and she's a worker. And she will not satisfy being second best. And I think that exemplifies Angelina. And the thing that I love about her, because I asked her, I said, what'd you get on your ACT? What would you get on your ACT, Angelina? She got a 34, and she was disappointed. It's out of 36. And there was no scholarship advantage for her to keep trying. Otherwise, she would just been wasting money. So she's been very angry over getting a 34. I got a 17. I mean, I would have been happy. My parents would have. I mean, they would have thought I was a genius with a 34. So, and still, that not being good enough for her really, I think, exemplifies her and her nature. When she came to high school, she excelled. She was one of those special students, you could tell. Motivated, demanding of herself, very goal-driven. Eventually became drum major and an oboe player in the band. I think you even played the English horn, didn't you, on one of the pieces after we got it? Her musical accomplishments at solo ensemble have been amazing, and really, too, what stands out within the school, and you'll see stuff about her in the school, is her academic work as well. And to be very strong academically and as busy as she is with all the things that she does, it really just tells her character and tells the integrity and the work that she puts into this. And I definitely feel it's fitting, and we don't give this every year because we don't always have a student that fits this category, but receiving the Scholar Musician Award is Angelina OBrien. And this next young lady, Nikki Protis. And I've been in suspense on where Nikki was going to school because it had kind of jumped around a little bit, it bumped around a little bit, and then I think the other day she settled on going to Roosevelt University in Chicago, and it's a performing arts school in downtown Chicago, isn't it? Downtown Chicago. And she's going to major in fine arts and acting. She's received the Dean's Scholarship, or Dean's Award, which is $7,000, and the Roosevelt Academic Scholarship, which is $13,000 a year. And, you know, Nikki was in that clarinet class that I started in 6th grade, and I just loved that class. They were talented, they were fun. Mackenzie was in that class, they were all kind of friends, and they were goofy, and they were laughing, they were having a great time. And the thing that I did not know is that when she got into high school, Nikki is an amazing singer. And we sing a lot in band, and I have her sing. I would always have her demonstrate. And then I started seeing her doing the musicals and the plays at Mehlville, and she was the best singer. The best singers in the school are in band, and Nikki is one of those best singers in the school. Her talents don't stop with just singing and or band. I mean, she's a gifted actor. If you guys got to see the musical this past year, she did an amazing job. I loved it. I pulled her in the office to watch it with me and had her talk me through it. It was just a lot of fun, and it just makes me smile when you have those kids that are willing to go on a limb and do those artistic things and be willing to risk, because, you know, she could be very poor in life. I mean, she will be rich in joy and happiness, but financially, she runs the risk of being poor. And you know, you don't do this because you want to, you do this because you have to. It has to be very compelling that you feel that you can't do anything else. And with that kind of desire, she's gonna succeed. And receiving the most versatile award is Nikki Protis. Now, one of the things you may not know is I always pride myself on knowing the kids in the program when they're in middle school before they come here. So there's very few times that it'll surprise me on a kid that I don't know. Now, Michael Robinson was one of those kids. When he got to 8th grade, I did not really know him. And then eventually to find out, he transferred in from the city. So it wasn't that I was slacking on my job. He kind of snuck in there. And next year, Michael is going to St. Louis Community College. He's studying nursing. And I think once I talk about him a little bit, that will totally make sense with him. And one of the things that I love to do with him is listen to him talk, because he's very fitness conscious. So if you guys notice there, he's probably like 1% body fat on him. He has a workout regimen. During quarantine, I think he was, whenever we were on the meets, he was always eating and always cooking. He was always in his kitchen. And I think there was one meet, my wife goes, wow, he has a really nice kitchen. Because we did not at the time. But he's always been very fitness conscious. He's played sports here at Mehlville, football. I think he wrestled, and you know, just an all-around great athlete. And even once his seasons were done, I know his band season last year marching season became a little short because he ended up having surgery. And I mean, looking at him, it like almost broke his heart, because playing in drumline is just an amazing amount of fun for him. And eventually becoming co-captain of the drumline. So even though a chunk of his senior year being missed because of the surgery and COVID, he still has maintained his spirits and his fitness and his workout regimens. And I always love hearing him talk nutrition with the other kids in band. I always kind of pick his brain over some things as well too. So I think, we ever around those people that know how many calories they eat a day? He's one of those kids. Which I don't know how many I eat. I know it's a lot. But I do, after knowing him, I do feel that this is very fitting of him. But receiving the Athlete Musician Award is Michael Robinson. All right, Adeshia Smith. And Adeshia Smith is going to St. Louis Community College next year. And Adeshia was kind of interesting because, like I said, I'd like to know the students. And she was one of those students I did not know when she came to the high school and auditioned her. Because at that time, I think she was the only student from Bernard. So we have a very small cluster of students that we get from Bernard, and she was one of those students. So when she came from Bernard, I did not know her. I came in, auditioned her, and I was floored because she was a great player, a great student. She was real happy. She was real talkative, real smiley. And, you know, I walked away going, wow, I want to get this girl in band. I want to get this girl in high school band. She was in suburban in middle school. She came in and fit in with the other clarinet players that we started as sixth graders. And, you know, they did a quartet last year, and got a 1 on it, and I was just ecstatic. I was in the room. I was real proud. I was videotaping them, and it was just great fun. And I think the thing about her, which she told me this a few weeks ago, that she got voted, greatest sense of humor. Is that what it is? Best sense of humor. So she got a senior superlative as best sense of humor. And I think that's pretty fitting, because she's one of those students that I always like to test my wit with. And she always likes to test me. And I always win, don't I? Oh, she said yes. But one of the things about her, which was very scary for me, is when she was a freshman. Well, two things. One, she fell during marching season, and she broke her wrist. And she kept marching. She wouldn't stop. And we were like, you need to go to the hospital. She goes, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I'm assuming when you have a broken wrist, it hurts. So Mr. Kramer looked out there a couple hours later, and then she was gone. Well, I think she ended up going to the hospital and came back with a huge, giant cast. Another thing that was, and this is kind of typical of her, is she gets very hyper-focused on stuff. She's not going to let it go. We were on the marching field practicing, and it was hot. It's hot during the summer. And I looked at her, and she looked really bad. And I was like, you need to go to the nurse. She goes, no, I'm fine. I'm like, no, you need to go to the nurse. She goes, no, I'm fine, Brown. So I made her get in the gator, and we had somebody drive her to the front. And then she had juvenile diabetes and did not know it. And she was pretty close to going into a diabetic shock. So that was one of those things that was, oh my gosh, pretty scary. And to know her, how she handles it, and how she handles her condition, and being positive as she is really amazing. However, I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans on her because on every band trip to her mom, because I don't think she's told her, she lost her diabetic bag on every band trip. And we were in Disney and she calls me and I said, okay, we're taking you to the hospital right now because you have to get, now luckily she found her bag in Disney. So we didn't have to do that, but in case her mom is here, I'm spilling the beans because I've waited till this moment. So, but knowing her, knowing how she plays, how she works, receiving the Director's Award for Musical Excellence is Adeshia Smith. All right, so the next three guys, if you look at them, they're all brothers. They all came from the same womb. And when you are in a family of triplets and you all come to high school and you all in band together, you can't not be noticed. Now, as I go through each one of them, you'll see each one of them is their own person and their own personality and special in their own way. So this is the fun part for me. So Lucas Stratos. So next year, Lucas is going to Missouri S&T. He's studying engineering, and he received the Groundbreaker Scholarship, which is worth $5,000 a year for $20,000 over the course of college. And he's received the Vollmer Vanguard Scholarship, which is $2,000 a year and $8,000 over the period of his time in college. I remember Lucas Stratos. And obviously my wife would go, the Stratos twins, she would talk about them. And Lucas, Mr. Hahn would talk about Lucas a lot because he'd go, man, that Lucas, he can play some jazz. And, I'm thinking, okay, right, Mr. Hahn, yeah, okay. 8th grader coming in, sure. And Lucas ended up joining jazz band early on in his high school career, which most of the kids don't do until their later years. And he was right. I mean, I was like, whoa. And I loved hearing him play. I think I made you solo like all the time. And I was like, oh, Stratos, solo again. And then, and I still do that to this day. So he's going to be missed from that standpoint. It's not negating anything that he's done in concert band. He's done an incredible job in concert band and the saxophones, always being solid, always being present, always being a great musician, a great leader. But in the jazz band, especially having very little musical jazz training, just to come in, and the only way that you can get as proficient as he was is just from just working and just experimenting and just spending time on it. And I think that's a testimony to his ability, his musicianship, his desire to improve, and anything that he does, he's going to work hard and be successful at. And if you guys don't know who Louis Armstrong is, and he's one of the pivotal moments, pivotal people in jazz, and his nickname is Pops, because he is the father of jazz and the leader of jazz, especially throughout New Orleans. And receiving the Louis Armstrong Jazz Award is Lucas Stratos. We're in the top of the building, everybody, they're doing the picture on the glass and the glass floor, and then we usher all the kids down to the bus. We get on the bus, we're doing the bus count, and we're going through and like, wait, we're missing one. We're missing. And then we're like, oh my God, it's Matthew. So, of course, we all run off the bus, and we're like running in, and you can't really hurry because it's like 100 stories. So you're taking the elevator, and you're biting your nails the whole time going up the elevator. So I'm going up the elevator. I'm running around the top of the Sears Tower. It's not the Sears Tower. What's it called now? I'm old, so I call it the Sears Tower. But then I'm running around going, oh my God, where is this kid? And lo and behold, we missed him on the elevator. We came down, and then he was on the bus. And then we were like, whew. And I go, man, I'm not going to forget this kid. And, when he came to high school, I wasn't going to forget him for other reasons as well. Because in terms of drumline work, in terms of musical work, I mean, just a joy to have. and he became very focused, an incredible worker. Eventually became co-captains of the drum line. Just submerged himself in marching band, drum line, and band, and you know, that drum line actually got me in trouble because they were always working. They were playing all the time, and he was part of that. Come on, guys, let's play. Let's do some rehearsal. They would rehearse all the time after school. They just wanted it all the time. And some of the teachers were mad at me because the students were practicing after school. So I got in trouble. I got pulled in. I go, well, then, you know, you tell the teacher they need to quit. Tell them they need to turn in their degree and not be a teacher if you're not seeing motivated kids like Matthew inspiring others to come in and work and come in to do great things. And you shouldn't even be in the classroom. You should go somewhere else. But Matthew is that kid, and I'm so proud of him, so proud of his work, and I'm especially glad that we eventually found him in Chicago, because I never would have been able to experience him and enjoy him the way I have these last several years. So receiving the Most Valuable Player Award, drumline captain, is Matthew Stratos. And here is the last Stratos, well, last Stratos of the triplets. And this is William Stratos. And he's going to St. Louis University, and he's majoring in health sciences on a pre-med track. And he's received the SLU Merit Scholarship for $23,000 per year over the 4 years. So that's really good. Congratulations for that. And William today, I think we were just kind of talking about that today. You know, when you have 3 kiddos, and especially 3 kiddos who are triplets and come into band, it's funny because each of them have their own personality. And when they came in right away, like all the students loved all of the Stratos kids, but especially William. And our kids would go garage sailing, garage sale shopping, whatever they call it, before contests on Saturdays, and they bought this little car. This little tiny car, and then they got it and they brought it back, and they coach, or did they pick you up, or they ask you to get in it? Okay, so they say, hey, why don't you come and get in the car? So they got in the car, and I just remember seeing him in this little car, and they were pushing him around before a contest, and you know, so that, of course, I had to yell at him to stop. But you know, I liked it. It was fun, and you know, also too, right away, because he's such an amazing student, an amazing person. You know, the kids loved him right away. So that's how you know when somebody becomes into the program and is very special. And then being part of a family of 3, you know, each kid is different. Each kid has something to offer, and William has been that person. So you know, in line with the other brothers working as hard, William has worked equally as hard. He's been a great section player. Even today, I was hearing him play, and man, he was, you know, kicking up the high notes and double tonguing, and I was just excited. And you know, it's one thing when I lose one kid who graduates, but when a family of 3, and you know, it was just fun when I'd go Stratos, and then all 3 students would go, huh? But he's been that kiddo doing a great job on the field, doing a great job with the trumpet and the trumpet section, just positive momentum of the band. And I'm going to miss the last Stratos in the band here, William Stratos. And I definitely think his nature, how well the kids take to him, and the amount of work that he puts into it, he is fitting of receiving the Band Pride Award, going to William Stratos. So this next young lady was one of those clarinet players that I started in 6th grade that I loved dearly, and her coming into high school, and I ended up loving her dearly in high school. Lauren Trumassini, she's going to Missouri State next year. She's undecided on her major, but she's received the Board of Governors Scholarship, which is worth $26,000. So that's a very good scholarship and very good start to her college career. Lauren was one of those people, after we kind of had the reality of COVID and what our year was going to look like, and I remember her telling me how sad she was. And I was sad too, because there again, you know, you invest in the kids and you have hopes and dreams for the kids and the things that we're going to do, and sometimes those things don't work out. And, you know, Lauren was one of those people, I think it hit her especially hard. And I think through this process and what we've been doing, because I've watched her quite a bit, and I think this is not obviously the same thing of having your senior year, but she's approached it with the same enthusiasm, the same energy, and that she's done in her high school career here so far. She loves playing the clarinet. I'm so proud of her progress as a clarinet player. It makes me sad that she's leaving. The other thing, which is kind of an emotional thing for me, because my clarinet teacher died several years ago, and his wife contacted me and said, I have his clarinets, and asked me if I wanted to buy them. And I didn't really need a clarinet, but I bought them just because they were his. And then a few years ago, Lauren bought his clarinet from me. And it's kind of a special thing for me, that she's playing my clarinet teacher's clarinet in our band, and I loved my clarinet teacher dearly. And it's been kind of a touching thing, and it's even more surreal because things didn't evolve the way I wanted. Now, knowing my clarinet teacher, knowing the kind of person he was, how much he valued students that work hard and that are musically driven, he would have loved knowing the student that was playing his clarinet. And, it makes me proud to say that. Lauren's been the first chair the last several years. Like I said, we've been able to do some really hard music because of the work that she's been willing to put in. And it makes me proud. And it makes me happy the time that we've had together, even though it wasn't what I wanted, it still makes me very proud to be her teacher and have had that time together here at Mehlville. So receiving the first chair award is Lauren Trumasini. Now this next young man, he decided to dress up and dress really warm for the night. And I think he lost a bet. Did you lose a bet, or did you mean to do that?
No, this was by choice.
Oh, it was by choice. Okay. Good. I have like 4 layers on, and he's walking around half naked. So, Logan Walshauser. Now, when you have a name like Walshauser, it's a real tough one to yell on the field. Okay, and then we have like 4 Logans in the band at the time when he came in. So my grandma said this thing one time, and this has always stuck with me. So if you guys wonder how come a lot of the kids in band have nicknames, it's because if somebody loved you enough to give you a nickname, then that's pretty special. And Logan Walshauser has been known to be Woofy ever since he was a freshman. And as you get to know his personality and know him, I really think it's pretty fitting. So next year, Logan is going to University of Tampa. And I asked him, I said, why Tampa? He goes, because they gave me a scholarship. And he's majoring in history, and he received a $10,000 merit scholarship to go to University of Tampa. So I might come down there, and I might be wearing a Speedo dressed like you are down there on the beach, buddy. So you won't really want that. But, Logan is one of the most positive, one of the most inspirational kiddos that you'll know. And if you've been to a football game and seen the biggest cheerleader, I mean, the guy on the sideline who is cheering and doing everything he can to rev up the team and have an influence, a positive influence. And he's on the baseball team as well. And he's the same way in the baseball team. It's just the positive person, encouraging everybody else, encouraging the others to work hard, and himself too. He works hard, he plays hard. You'll see him in jazz band in that recording that we did the other night, just loving it, dancing and playing and encouraging everybody else, and that's just him. I mean, that is just kind of how he functions in the world, and it's just a delight. So just an amazing person, an amazing character, and on the field, off the field, you always know what you're going to get with him, because it's always going to be positive, and he's always going to give you his best. So, and I'm just going to say it. So receiving the musicianship award is Woofy. Okay, Logan Williamson is going to Missouri, S&T, and he's studying nuclear engineering and has received the groundbreaker package, which is $5,000. And Williamson has been one of those quiet workers over the last 4 years. Dependable, positive, responsible, has always done what we've asked him, always been there, always been on time. And I think during COVID, I kind of messed with you a lot during COVID, didn't I? And we started to exchange conversation, because in the past 4 years, we just kind of grunted each other when we walked by. We go, and then he'd go, and that would be it. But you know, as I got to peel back the layers, he's quite a fun person, quite an amazing person. And, you know, knowing that from watching him here and doing his job on the field, doing his job in the trumpet section, during concert season, during marching season, and even his senior year, I've never heard him complain. Most of the other seniors, I've heard them say, I've never heard him complain about his time so far this year, and how things evolved and how things turned out. So, always dependable. Anything I've asked him, he's always given me 110%. And, you know, in this capacity, I get to hear the kids because we're in smaller groups. I get to hear them play more for me. And, you know, he's pulling his weight, doing a great job playing in the section and playing the music that we're doing, and helping make this year special, even in spite of all the things going on. So, Logan Williamson receiving the Team Player Award. All right, guys. These are all of our seniors. Can we give them a big round of applause? I'm sorry. I know tonight is long. I know it's cold. I know all those things. That's going to last for a brief time in your life. But to me, what this program is about, what tonight is about, is honoring people. And the people that will be forever lasting, the memories and the thoughts and the things that they give away. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all bearing the wet, the cold, all those things. And I know it's a long night. At some point, you parents, your kiddo is going to be a senior. And I want to share and I want to talk about them. So it's always special for me to sit back and listen to people talk about my kid, but also other people's kids, because that goes into the hopes and dreams that I have personally as well. So thank you all. Hey guys, let's give your parents a round of applause for coming out and bearing the weather. And if you guys would like, can we have you guys go up to, would you guys like to take a picture of the seniors? If you guys want to, maybe you guys could go to like the edge of the track there, maybe around the 50-yard line, around the edge of the track, and then you guys can go ahead and if you want to take a picture of them.